to those who want to wonder whether we are the winners about. Let's start a ride for the last 40 years, and today I have my special guest. He is the founder and principal consultant of Mondo Cinefood Consulting, and of course, the author of the book 150 Food Science of Questions Answered, no other than Mr. Brian Lee.
Hello,
Hello,
Daniel.
Daniel.
Thanks for
Thanks for
having me.
having me.
Welcome, Mr. Brian. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
So
So
I'm a
I'm
food
a food
scientist,
scientist,
and I
and I
help
help
consult
consult
with
with
companies.
companies.
And
And
I
I
published this
published this
book
book
right
right
after I
after I
got my
got my
PhD
PhD
back in
back in
2020.
2020.
Mr. Brian Lee. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom. Hoping for more and more and having this pleasure to come. So tell us the why behind the book. What is the gap you saw in most cookbooks or cooking show that made you decide a Q&A format focused on food science was needed?
It's
You know, it's
funny. I
funny. I
actually
actually
didn't think of
didn't
this
think of
book.
this book.
The
The
publisher actually
publisher
came
actually
to
came to
me
me
and already
and
had the
already had the
concept
concept
of
of
the
the
book for
book
me.
for me.
So,
So,
I just
I
kind of
just kind
filled
of
in the
filled in the
blanks.
blanks.
Hmm. So, how do you make the complex scientific principles and make them not just understandable but immediately useful for home cook in a hurry?
Well, the
Well, the
easiest way
easiest
to
way
do
to do
that
that
has
has
been to
been to
just
just
ask my
ask my
wife.
wife.
And,
And,
if
if
something
something
sounds
sounds
good
good,
or if
or
she
if
can
she can
understand it,
understand it,
because she's a
because she's
very
a very
intelligent
intelligent
person.
person.
She just
She
doesn't
just
have a
doesn't have a
scientific
scientific
background.
background.
So
So
I just
I
run
just run
everything by
everything by
her.
her.
And if
And
she's
if
like,
she's like,
this
this
is
is
really way
really
too
way too
complex,
complex,
then I have
then
to
I have to
rewrite it.
rewrite it.
How does understanding the why behind cooking techniques fundamentally change a person's relationship with cooking from a chore of or to an engaging creative process?
It seems
It
like a
seems like
lot
a
of
lot
people
of
have
people have
told me
told me
that they
that they
really
really
enjoy,
enjoy,
like,
like,
as they're
as they're
cooking,
cooking,
that they're
that they're
not
not
just
just
walking in
walking in
blindly,
blindly,
right? Like
right?
it
Like
gives
it
them
gives
more
them more
confidence to
confidence to
try
try
different
different
things
things
because it's
because it's
based on the
based on the
principles
principles
that
that
underlie the
underlie the
chemistry
chemistry
and the
and the
biology
biology
of
of
the
the
food
food
itself.
itself.
So
So
people
people
will
will
experiment
experiment
more
more,
knowing
knowing
that
that
there's
there's
an
an
actual
actual
reason for
reason for
certain
certain
things.
things.
Mr. Brian, tell us, how do you choose which 50 questions to answer? Were they most frequently asked questions you've encountered or the ones you felt had the biggest impact on cooking outcomes?
Honestly, I
Honestly, I
just
just
looked up
looked up
Reddit,
Reddit,
and
and
so
so
there's a
there's a
lot of
lot of
questions on
questions on
there,
there,
and
and
I just
I just
compiled
compiled
them.
them.
Compiled for sure, compiled it. Which question have the most, well, surprising answer that truly changes how a cook should think about that topic?
I
I
think the
think the
one
one
that
that
people
people
ask the
ask the
most
most
about
about
is
is
the
the
questions
questions
about
about
garlic and
garlic and
onion.
onion.
And then
And then
there's a
there's a
couple of
couple of
them.
them.
Like
Like
one
one
is
is like,
why do
why do
you
you
include
include
garlic and
garlic and
onion
onion
and
and
everything?
everything?
Um,
Um,
it gets
it gets
pretty
pretty
complex,
complex,
but
but
basically
basically
there's
there's
compounds
compounds
that
that
enhance the
enhance the
savoriness
savoriness
of
of
food.
food.
And I
And
think
I think
people don't
people don't
immediately
immediately
think
think
about
about
that.
that.
But,
But
if you think
if you
about
think about
all the
all the
world
world
cuisine,
cuisine,
you
you
see
see
garlic and
garlic and
onion
onion
pretty
pretty
often.
often.
And the other
And the
one
other
is
one
like,
is like,
why
why
do
do
onions make
onions
you
make you
cry?
cry?
And so
And
there's
so
all
there's
these
all these
different
different
techniques and
techniques and
strategies to
strategies
make
to
sure
make
that
sure
you
that you
don't
don't
get,
get,
the
the
onions
onions
causing you to
causing you to
tear
tear
up.
you up.
Hmm, good questions. Why onion make us cry when we doing slicing the onion. And was there a question you included that once you researched and explained the answer, gave you even you an expert a new perspective or aha moment?
I would
I
say
would
the
say the
one
one
that really
that really
surprised
surprised
me
me
was
was
why do
why do
things
things
become
become
stale,
stale,
right? Like,
right?
why
Like,
does
why
a
does a
cookie
cookie
or
or
bread
bread
become
become
stale?
stale?
Because
Because
actually,
actually,
the
the
reason why
reason
those
why
two
those
get
two get
stale is
stale is
completely
completely
different from one
different from one
another.
another.
So
So
there's a
there's a
very
very
specific
specific
reason
reason
underlying both
underlying
of
both of
them,
them,
but
but
because
because
cookies are
cookies are
sweet
sweet
and bread
and
is
bread is
not, not
not
usually,
usually,
they
they
experience
experience
staling in a
staling in a
different
different
way.
way.
And that
And
gave
that
me a
gave me
lot
a
of
lot of
ideas of
ideas of
like
like
how to
how
deal
to
with
deal with
baked
baked
goods,
goods,
especially with
especially
my
with my
clients.
clients.
Mr. Brian, what is the most common cooking myth or old wives' tales that you were able to definitively bust with science in the book?
You don't
You don't
have to
have to
skim
skim
soups.
soups.
I
I
mean,
mean,
like
like
there's
there's
like
like
if you
if
make
you
a
make a
meat
meat
soup or
soup or
something,
something,
there's some
there's
kind
some
of
kind
like
of like
gelatinous
gelatinous
material on the
material on the
surface.
surface.
There's no
There's no
real
real
reason to
reason to
skim
skim
that.
that.
It's only
It's
for
only for
appearances. It
appearances. It
actually
actually
doesn't
doesn't
affect the
affect the
flavor at
flavor at
all.
all.
And I know
And I
that a
know that
lot
a
of
lot of
people
people
spend a
spend
lot
a
of
lot
time
of time
skimming that
skimming that
stuff
stuff
off.
off.
It
It
actually
actually
doesn't
doesn't
impact it at
impact it
all.
at all.
If a reader could only remember one scientific principle from the entire book to apply in their kitchen, what should it be and why, Mr. Brian?
I would
I would
say,
say,
with
with
I mean,
I
there
mean,
was a
there was
lot
a
of
lot of
questions
questions
there.
there.
I would say
I would say
probably
probably
there is one
there is
question
one
about
question about
does it take
does it
longer
take
to
longer to
heat
heat
in boil
in
hot
boil
water
hot water
or cold
or
water?
cold water?
And it
And
really didn't
it
make
really
that much
didn't
of a
make that much of a
difference.
difference.
It's for some weird
It's for
reason
some
people
weird
think
reason
that
people think that
cold water
cold
is
water is
faster to
faster
boil.
to boil.
That's really not the
That's really
case.
not the
You
case.
could just
You
start
could
with
just start with
warm water.
warm water.
And for some
And
reason,
for
people
some
spend
reason,
a lot
people
more
spend a
time
lot more time
doing that.
doing that.
Interesting, Mr. Brian. And how would you explain the Maillard reaction or browning and its importance in a way that instantly makes someone a better cook?
Yeah, so
Yeah, so
if you just put a
if you
little
just
bit of
put a little bit
sugar,
of sugar,
it has to be a
it has
specific
to be a
kind of
specific
sugar.
kind of sugar.
It has to be like
It has to be
fruit
like fruit
sugar
sugar
or
or
honey.
honey.
There's like very
There's like
specific
very
types of
specific types of
sugars that
sugars that
accelerate this
accelerate this
reaction
reaction
and it produces
and
all
it
these
produces all
flavors.
these flavors.
But
But
you need a
you
source
need
of
a source
that
of that
and a
and a
source
source
of what's
of
called
what's called
amino
amino
acids,
acids,
which are the
which are the
components of
components of
proteins.
proteins.
And
And
things like
things
soy
like soy
sauce
sauce
or
or
miso
miso
or
or
different
different
kinds of
kinds of
other
other
sauces
sauces
contain a high
contain a high
concentration of amino
concentration of amino
acids.
acids.
So
So
together, when
together,
they
when they
react,
react,
you
you
produce
produce
all
all
the
the
delicious savory
delicious savory
flavors
flavors
in your
in your
food.
food.
That's why it's
That's why
always
it's
good
always
to
good
sort
to
of
sort of
marinate your
marinate your
meats
meats
with
with
something a
something
little
a
bit
little bit
sweet,
sweet,
or
or
to
to
have
have
like a
like a
soy
soy
sauce and that
sauce and
sort of
that
thing.
sort of thing.
So
It's all
part of it.
part of it.
That'd be awesome. What does the science tell us about when and how to salt food to maximum flavor impact that most home cooks get wrong?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I
you
think
should
you should
definitely
definitely
salt
salt
things
things
at
at
least
least
30
30
minutes
minutes
beforehand
before you cook it,
especially
especially
your
your
raw
raw
meats.
meats.
It
It
takes some
takes some
time
time for the salt
to
to
get
get into
the meat
the meat
itself.
itself.
You can
You can
solve it in
solve
the
it in the
beginning,
beginning,
but it
but it
doesn't
doesn't
really
really
penetrate the
penetrate the
tissue.
tissue.
So you
So
want
you
some
want some
time for
time
it
for
to
it to
slowly
slowly
absorb.
absorb.
It's really
It's really
important,
important,
actually.
actually.
Mr. Brian, what are the scientific factors that absolutely guarantee a perfect, crispy sear in a piece of meat or fish? On how can anyone achieve it?
It's that
It's that
salting,
salting,
man.
man.
When you
When you
add
add
enough
enough
salt,
salt,
you
you
reduce the
reduce the
amount
amount
of
of
free
free
water,
water,
and it
and it
speeds
speeds
up a
up a
lot of
lot
that
of that
crisping
crisping
reaction.
reaction.
A little
A
bit of
little bit of
salt,
salt,
a little
a
bit of
little bit of
sugar,
sugar,
and you'll
and you'll
definitely get
definitely
that
get that
perfect
perfect
crisp.
crisp.
Eggs seem simple but are incredibly complex. What is the most valuable egg related insight from the book that prevents culinary disasters?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would
I would
say
say
a lot
a
of it
lot of it
is
is
food
food
safety.
safety.
Like,
Like
you
you
shouldn't
shouldn't
really
really
wash
wash
chicken,
chicken,
as
as
example.
example.
Like,
Like
if you
if you
wash
wash
chicken,
chicken,
you
you
spread all the
spread all the
salmonella
salmonella
across your
across your
kitchen,
kitchen,
and
and
that's just
that's just
a
a
breeding
breeding
ground
ground
for
for
food
food
poisoning.
poisoning.
There's a
There's
lot
a
of
lot of
other
other
different
different
tips in
tips in
there
there
about how
about
to
how to
deal
deal
with
with
food
food
safety.
safety.
But I
But
think
I
a
think a
lot of it
lot
is
of it
just
is just
like
like
definitely make
definitely
sure
make
you
sure you
cook
cook
your
your
food
food
thoroughly,
thoroughly,
and make sure
make
that
sure
you're
that
not
you're not
cross
cross
contaminating
contaminating
between
between
fruits,
fruits,
vegetables, and
vegetables, and
meat.
meat.
Yes, for sure. And beyond just making things start, how does understanding acid on scientific level change how we balance and build flavors in a dish?
What's
What's
interesting,
interesting,
that's
that's
actually
actually
something I
something I
discovered
discovered
after I
after I
wrote the
wrote the
book.
book.
But
But
acids
acids
help
help
to
to
tone
tone
down
down
the
the
perception of
perception of
umami.
umami.
So
So
umami is
umami
sort
is
of
sort of
the
the
Japanese term
Japanese
for
term for
savory,
savory,
and it's a
and it's the
result
result
of
of
specific amino
specific amino
acids
acids
such
such
as
as
glutamic
glutamic
acid,
acid,
and
and
certain
certain
compounds called
compounds called
ribonucleotides.
ribonucleotides.
So when you
So
have
when you
something
have
that's
something that's
overly
overly
savory,
savory,
acid
acid
helps
helps
cut
cut
that
that
down. It
down. It
really,
really,
and there's
and
a
there's a
real
real
scientific
scientific
reason for
reason
that.
for that.
And it's
And
pretty
it's pretty
remarkable.
remarkable.
Like, you can
Like you can
actually
actually
measure
measure
the
the
reduction in
reduction in
intensity
intensity
of
of
savoriness when
savoriness
you
when you
add the
add
right
the right
amount
amount
of
of
acid.
acid.
Mr. Brian, how can you use food science to navigate a gluten conversation, knowing to develop it for structure and when it avoid it for tenderness?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
that's a
complex
complex
issue,
issue,
honestly,
honestly,
because it
because it
is so
is so
complex.
complex.
I mean,
I
there's a
mean,
lot
there's
of
a lot of
factors
factors
that
that
influence
influence
gluten
gluten
in the
in the
structure.
structure.
The
The
more that
more that
you
you
need
need
it,
it,
there's
there's
a
a
lot more
lot more
oxygen
oxygen
that
that
gets
gets
pushed
pushed
into the
into the
flour,
flour,
and
and
then
then
there's
there's
different
different
components like
components like
salt
salt
or
or
sugar that
sugar that
inhibits
inhibits
the
the
growth,
growth,
especially
especially
oils
oils
actually.
actually.
So that's kind
That's
of how
kind of
you
how you
build
build
things like
things like
croissant,
croissant,
the sort
the
of
sort of
flakiness.
flakiness.
But
But
man,
man,
it's
it's
gluten
gluten
is
is
really
really
complex, and
complex.
there's
And there's
really
really
no
no
other
other
protein like
protein
it.
like it.
It's really
It's
hard to
really hard to
replace.
replace.
For sure, it's hard to replace. What is the most misunderstood role of fat in cooking beyond just adding richness?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I
one of
mean,
the
one of
things
the
is
things
that
is
a
that a
lot of
lot of
flavor
flavor
molecules
molecules
actually
actually
dissolve in
dissolve in
fat.
fat.
So
So
it
it
serves as a
serves as a
carrier,
carrier,
but it's
but
a
it's a
little more
little more
complex
complex
because
because
it
it
inhibits
inhibits
the
the
perception of
perception of
things
things
like
like
salts,
salt,
sugars,
sugars,
and
and
umami
umami
and
and
acid.
acids.
So,
So
like,
like
there's a
there's a
real
real
balancing
balancing
act
act
because if you
because
have
if you
too
have
much
too much
fat,
fat,
you
you
basically
basically
nullify
nullify
your
your
perception of
perception
these
of these
things.
things.
But you
But you
have to
have
have
to have
enough
enough
fat
fat
to
to
carry
carry
out
out
the
the
dissolution of
dissolution
these
of these
flavors
flavors
found in
found
these
in these
foods.
foods.
Interesting, Mr. Brian. Interesting indeed. And why is baking so intolerant of improvisation compared to other cooking? And what are the key scientific rules that must never be broken?
Ooh,
Ooh,
Always
Always
follow
follow
the
the
recipe.
recipe. That's one rule.
Follow the recipe, people.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Yeah.
what is the first thing a home cook should do tomorrow to start implementing a food science mindset?
I
I
think just
think just
understanding
understanding
that
that
everything is
everything is
composed of
composed of
compounds,
compounds
and
and
things like
things like
salt
salt
and
and
sugar
sugar
and
and
lemon and
lemon and
lime. These
lime. These
all are
all are
composed of
composed of
compounds.
compounds.
And if
And
you
if you
measure it
measure it
correctly,
correctly,
you
you
can
can
definitely
definitely
change
change
things in a
things in a
way
way
that
that
you can
you can
experiment
experiment
with,
with,
and then
and
you
then
always
you
have
always
a
have a
record
record
of
of
something that
something
you
that you
did the
did the
same
same
each
each
time.
time.
So like
So like
it's more
it's more
about a
about a
mindset
mindset
of
of
keeping the
keeping the
right kind
right
of
kind of
record
record
and
and
understanding that
understanding that
everything is
everything is
made up
made
of
up of
compounds.
compounds.
Mm, just put in your mind, people, made of compound. And what is one inexpensive kitchen tool or gadget that provides the biggest return on investment for cooking results?
Ooh.
Ooh,
That's a
that's
good
a good
question.
question.
I don't
I
know
don't know
if it's
if it's
most
most
inexpensive,
inexpensive,
but
but
I
I
really
really
like
like
a
a
lead
lead
cassette
cassette
pot.
pot.
Oh yes.
Now I
Now I
got
got
lucky
lucky
because my
because
wife
my
and
wife
I
and I
bought
bought
it
it
on
on
very
very
deep
deep
discount,
discount,
so
so
it
it
became
became
inexpensive.
inexpensive.
But
But
I
I
think that
think
was
that was
always been a
always been a
game
game
changer.
changer.
Just like
Just like
having
having
a
a
fully
fully
cast
cast
iron
iron
pot
pot
of
of
high
high
quality
quality
because it
because it
changes the
changes
way
the
that
way
you
that you
cook.
cook.
It really
It really
does.
does.
Yes, for sure. So, what is a simple, foolproof recipe or technique that perfectly demonstrate how science leads to a better result, building a beginner confidence?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I
I
mean, I
think
think
just
just
trying to
trying to
salt
salt
at
at
different
different
levels.
levels.
Like
Like
if you
if you
actually
actually
measure the
measure the
amount of
amount of
salt
salt
that you
that you
use
use
and you
and you
keep
keep
changing the
changing the
amount of
amount of
salt
salt
in a
in a
very
very
discrete
discrete
amount,
amount,
you'll
you'll
start to
start to
see that
see
you
that
can
you can
control the
control the
flavor
flavor
and the
and the
searing
searing
in a
in a
very
very
careful
careful
manner.
manner.
I mean, it
I mean,
takes
it
some
takes some
diligence.
diligence.
It is
It is
very much
very
a
much a
scientific
scientific
methodology,
methodology,
but it'll
but
be
it'll be
really
really
interesting
interesting
because
because
everyone has
everyone
a
has a
different
different
take on
take
what
on
is
what
too
is too
salty or
salty or
not
not
salty
salty
enough.
enough.
But you
But you
can
can
get
get
closer to
closer to
the
the
level that
level
you
that you
like.
like.
Yes. And Mr. Brian, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to listen to my other podcast, people, my other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast, Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 Review, Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Brian, what is the burning food science question you're still curious about, and what did to or want to explore next?
I
I
really
really
want to
want to
know
know
why do
why
we
do we
like the
like the
things that
things
we
that we
do
do
in the
in the
more
more
holistic
holistic
way.
way.
It is
It is
so
so
complicated.
complicated.
I'm not
I'm
even
not
sure
even sure
how I'm
how
going to
I'm going to
start
start
studying
studying
that,
that,
but I'm
but I'm
trying.
trying.
Complicated indeed. Mr. Brian Lee, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Hoping for more another book to come. So can you please invite our listeners to support your book?
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so much,
Daniel.
Daniel.
Yes, so where do people can buy your book, Mr. Brian?
Definitely,
Definitely,
if
if
you can
you
find
can
it on
find it on
Amazon.
Amazon.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Brian Lee because if you support him, for sure more and more empowering food science questions to come. So, Mr. Brian, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.
More to come, people. See you soon.